Hello and welcome. In today's video we're going to talk about alcohol and the law and some surprising things that you may not know. First of all, I live in Florida and our state is very tough on alcohol related crime. So facts, figures, and numbers I give you might be a little different from your state, but it's probably not near as harsh as ours, okay? Now in this video I want to focus on what happens to a person when they get in trouble with the law. First we'll talk about, of course, the obvious DUIs, or driving under the influence of alcohol. We'll talk about the penalties, the money, the time, and I mean jail time. Secondly, I want to discuss alcohol and other related crimes like domestic violence, public intoxication, drunk and disorderly conduct, and lastly, I want to talk about the effects that these things can have on your life from a psychological and sociological standpoint, and how it can affect your personality, and how it can affect your social status, how it can affect your relationships, your job. DUI, or driving under the influence. In the state of Florida, your first offense for DUI can give you up to 6 months in jail. Now, if your blood alcohol content is greater than 0.15, or you have a minor in the car, you could go to jail for up to 9 months. And fines, we're talking anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for your first offense. Now, if your blood alcohol content is greater than 0.15, or a minor is in the car, your fines can go up to $2,000. Probation, up to a year, including DUI school, psychosocial evaluation, and a bunch of community service work, probably about 50 hours. Your vehicle is going to be automatically immobilized for 10 days. It's going to be impounded, which is going to cost you money to get out. Also, if your blood alcohol level is over 0.15, and you're going to have what's called an alcohol ignition lock. That's going to last you 6 months. Meaning you're going to have to blow into a device to be able to even start your car. Now that's your first offense. And oh, by the way, your driver's license is going to be suspended for at least 180 days up to a year. DUI number 2. The second DUI within 5 years of the first one, you'll go to jail for 10 days. That's a minimum. Probably up to 9 months if your blood alcohol content is higher. The fines, you're going to be fined anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000, again depending on how high of a blood alcohol content you have. The probation for DUI is going to be at least a year. You're going to have to go to DUI school, psychosocial evaluation, auto immobilization of your vehicles. That's every vehicle that you own, by the way, not just the one that you were driving, for 30 days. The ignition interlock device for a year. Now, if your blood alcohol content is higher, over 0.15, it's 2 years. Your driver's license will be suspended for 5 years, okay? You won't be able to drive for 5 years. As you see, it gets steeper and steeper. Now here we go with the third. Now if you get 3 convictions within 10 years of the first one, you're going to do a minimum of 30 days in jail and up to 5 years in the Department of Corrections. That's prison. You're going to go to prison. Fines anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. If your blood alcohol content is over 0.15, and then the fines is going to be no less than $4,000. Probation, over a year. DUI school, psychosocial evaluations, the auto immobilization for all your cars for 90 days. That's impounding your cars for 90 days, all your vehicles. The ignition interlock for device, a 2-year minimum. And then your license is going to be suspended for 10 years. 10 years. Your fourth DUI within 10 years, you're going to prison for 5 years. Fines, $6,000. Probation, 5 years after you get out of prison, okay? Now there is some good news for you. You don't have to worry about the automobiles being locked up or impounded, and you don't have to worry about paying those fines to get them out. You don't have to worry about the interlock device and blowing to get your car started, because you're never going to have a driver's license again, okay? You'll never drive again. You know, that sounds pretty tough, doesn't it? And there's probably a few things that maybe you didn't know. You might want to think twice about getting behind that wheel. And if you get in a wreck when you're drunk and you hit another car, if you injure another passenger or kill somebody, you're going to prison in the state of Florida I mean, and you should go to prison. You know, in Florida we have this saying about getting in trouble with the law. Florida, come down on vacation and go home on probation. And it's true. I mean, they don't play games in the Sunshine State, baby. Okay, here's some other charges that are alcohol related and the penalties. Disorderly conduct. Conduct and disorderly intoxication are second-degree misdemeanors. In Florida, upon conviction, both offenses can earn you up to 60 days in jail and fines of about $500. Domestic violence charges. Anyone convicted of a domestic violence crime must serve a minimum of 10 days in jail. Now that's just for the first offense. Longer if the convicted person has a history of domestic violence. But those 10 days that's just a minimum. If you have prior domestic violence charges and you're found guilty of, say, a third-degree felony, because of the first charge that you have, you can go to jail for 30 years. 30 years. Domestic violence charges have a minimum of 1 year probation. Restraining orders, you're going to lose rights to firearms if you legally own a firearm. I mean, and you probably shouldn't own a firearm anyway in the first place, sorry. But how many times have we gotten drunk and gotten in arguments, especially with loved ones? One bad decision could really alter your life, and your judgment is not state of the art when you've been drinking and arguing. You know, let these things sink in. They are life-changing events, okay? Public intoxication. Penalties include a fine of up to $250, 90 days in jail, or both, depending on the severity of the disorderly intoxication. Here's the statute. Disorderly intoxication. No person in this state shall be intoxicated and endanger the safety of another person or property. No person in the state shall be intoxicated or drink any alcoholic beverage in a public place or in or upon a public conveyance and cause a public disturbance. Any person who's been convicted 3 times in a 12-month period is deemed to be a habitual offender. A habitual offender means a felony. Now that's Florida Statute 856.011. If you are intoxicated and happen to be sitting on a car, you can just be sitting on a car and be drinking. You can be arrested for disorderly intoxication. Now, after all these things have happened to you, or some of these things have happened to you, you're going to have to deal with living life on life's terms. Could you imagine trying to stop drinking after getting in trouble with the law and having to face some of these consequences? You know, the stress and strain of having to go to court, being on probation, the loss of money, the time out of your life, having to do community service, you know, and during all of this, you're not able to drive. The embarrassment, the humiliation, you know, having to deal with all these things and trying not to drink. How long do you seriously think that you'll be able to keep off of alcohol with all of this going on in your life? Take these things into consideration. They're very real. Anyone who drinks has probably driven under the influence, and it's just blind luck that you never got pulled over and never got in trouble. Don't take that chance. There are people out there who have been driving for 20, 30 years and go home from the bar every night, you know, and they drive home fine. They can have a tail light out. It doesn't have to be reckless driving. The police officer smells alcohol in your breath, and the next thing you know, your blood alcohol content is over. It doesn't matter how great of a driver you are while you're drinking. Your blood alcohol content is over a certain amount, and that's a DUI. Please, if anything, just consider calling an Uber or a cab, you know, or drink at home. You know, just don't endanger yourself, and please don't endanger innocent people by driving. Now, the best thing to do is just stop. I mean, if you're watching me right now and you've watched this far into this video, then you probably want to stop. Just go ahead and take that first step. I did. I know you can. Okay? Consider the consequences. I mean, sometimes the fear of what could possibly happen to you and how this can ruin your life can be great motivation to stop. I hope this video has helped you out, and thanks for watching. And remember, it just takes that one thought in your head that you want to stop. Okay? I know you can do it because I'm doing it. And if I can do it, I know you can. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.